Hey friends, welcome back to Dig Drive DIY. Well, it is here. This morning when I woke up was officially the coldest morning we've had so far of the 25 going into 26 winter season. Well, we've also had some white stuff show up, as many of you probably have in the Midwest as well. So that gives me two great points to talk about for this video. First of all, we're going to check on the stove to see how much wood we're burning. I'm going to clean it out to see how much ash we've produced, and I want to talk about how it's doing in these extreme cold temperatures too. Secondly, because I like to keep a nice driveway, I keep it graded up, there's a lot of loose stones on top, I frequently get the question, how do you plow your driveway? How do you remove snow without disturbing and moving a bunch of stones all over the place? Well, we're going to tackle that in this video too. But first of all, I need to go back about a week before any of the snow is here. I'll show you how I got prepared and what I did to hopefully mitigate all those stones being moved around in my driveway. And then we'll follow up at the end with a look at this stove, see how much ash we've got. The stove's about out right now too, so I'll show you how to bring it back, get the fire going, and then hopefully we'll end all warm and toasty and a driveway free of any snow.
Dig Drive DIY.
So I did go through and get my snow sticks in along the driveway, which is helpful for when everything's covered up. You'd think you'd know exactly where the driveway is, but it's amazing once it's covered with snow how quickly you lose it. My 755 with the leaf vacuum is in the bottom here of this building, and my snowblower is actually upstairs. I've got a garage door on the back side of this barn, and I actually have to use the backhoe with a set of forks on the hoe to reach up in there and get things up and down. So it's always kind of a pain in the butt, but if I'm going to do it, now's the time. Gotta get the skid loader running, and then yeah, that right there needs to come out, and I need to get the leaf vacuum off of it first. I had this running for a week or more. This guy here hasn't been probably started for, I had it running a couple weeks ago, I guess. Ooh, started a little harder than I expected. So I'll show you, I've got a set of forks, like a fork attachment that I put on the bucket, and then I can reach up in there to grab pallets. It's a total pain. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's getting old. That's why I'd really like to think about a little storage building right here of some sort. That would be nice. I'll get all this stuff running and get it situated. We'll get the 755 over in the shop, try to take the leaf vacuum off of it. My back always hurts. All right, I need to get the upstairs opened up. Just got to climb this ladder right here, go through that hole, and then open the door. There we are. Now here's the stuff. There's my pallet jack. Snowblower. Wait a minute. Oh, snowblower's right here. Duh. Should get that roller up here. So snowblower's going to come down. I might as well get that down first, and then I'll put the leaf vacuum and stuff up in here. All right, now just to take the hoe and put the forks on and reach up here and grab this pallet. And I've fallen off this ladder once onto the concrete floor below. I was lucky. I'm gonna need this thing right here. It's heavy. Okay, now I just need forks. They're over here, right there. I don't know. It's a little sketchy. Trying to get past the door though. Guess I can get past the door, but get it down without dropping it. See if I can reach it from there. Oh boy. Oh, it made it. This is so stupid. Now we just got to run up there, move that out of the way with a pallet jack, repeat the process for the mower deck. Snow's showing up. Getting the mower deck all snowy. I don't think I was any time too soon. Snow's coming down, but I've got the fall stuff stashed away. It's amazing how many pallets I've got up here of stuff, but that's put away. I'm going to close the door, button up the barn, and then I'll get to work mounting up that snowblower, I guess. Well, I love having this snowblower. I just hate the setup and the removal. I wish I had a tractor for every implement, but here we are. So getting it down is one thing, but getting it all hooked up is another. I guess it's not terrible. Could be worse. But I'm going to mount up this bracket. There's a PTO shaft that goes from this mule drive up to the PTO up near the axle. And then you got to mount the snowblower to this, and then the hydraulics to the valve there. One problem I know I'm going to have is I'm missing an O-ring on one of my hydraulic connectors, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But aside from that, I think it should go together. And then I got to put the cab on. That takes a while too. Actually, that one doesn't have a backing ring in it, so maybe I can just get an O-ring in there and it'll work. You can kind of see those white backing rings inside the two couplers on the left. And I'm trying to get, oh, that one does have a backing ring in it. This is the little backing ring that goes in there, but it's hard to get it to go without making it collapse. That's broken. Okay. All right, we will see how bad it leaks. All right, well, everything is connected up and working, and surprisingly not leaking. That O-ring in there, even without the backing ring, is holding for now. So I'll cross my fingers and see if we can give it a whirl. I got to tie up those loose hydraulic lines so they don't get in the tire like that, and work on maybe the cab. And I also want to do something about these shoes. That's the big thing I want to try to add. The folks at Edgetamers sent me some shoes to try out last year, and I never got enough snow to even put them on. So I'm going to probably take a look at those and see what we end up with. Thankfully, I remembered to put fuel in it before I had the cab all buttoned up on this thing. So got fuel in there. I installed the soft-sided cab, made sure I used plenty of duct tape on the seams. That thing's always a challenge, but it's on there. It helps a lot, but it's not perfect. I put the weights on the back of the tractor because I think that'll help a lot. Now it's pretty much ready. I could go out and blow snow right now, but I wanted to change something on the front. So I've been using a little shoe, something that keeps the snowblower up off the ground and out of the stones. It does a nice job of elevating the cutting edge above the stone, and these are plastic and they're nice against the concrete, but they wear out quickly and the front edge tends to dig into the stones. I need more of a ski on the sides. A lot of people ask me what I do about snow on our stones because I have a lot of loose stone on top, and this has been a great solution. But those, like I said, those front edges are gouging in. So I had the guys at Edgetamer last year reach out to me, and I had seen their product before and thought it would be promising, and this is what they come up with. So they've got a bolt-on bracket that looks like the holes will line up nicely with the side of that, and then you bolt this little ski to it, and the ski has got a nice taper at the front to keep it from gouging like my homemade ones are doing. And this will obviously wear a lot longer because this is made of steel. It's 3/8 plate. My only concern is what this will do on the concrete, but I'm going to run it on the stones first to wear the paint off, and I think once the paint is gone, it won't be a big deal on the concrete. I have to put new shoes on them every year. This is like a vinyl planking, and it does okay. I couldn't get boards to hold up, and I was too lazy to make them out of metal, so these might work pretty slick. Well, we got the snow. It's getting late though. 2:10 a.m. But I've got the snowblower all ready to go. Got the Edgetamers on there. The edges of my snowblower are bent, and so they're not making them, now they're not sitting perfectly level, but I put them inbound. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to mount them. We'll see how they work. If I gotta flip them around, I can flip them around real easy. I can just switch them from one side to the other. So no problem there. I'm gonna try to get some rest, and maybe about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll head out at first light and see if we can get some of the snow moved. It's fun. I haven't actually done it in a long time, so I haven't moved any snow for over a year, maybe 2 almost. So this could be fun if everything holds together. I'm starting to get tired. All right, we'll see you in the morning. Well, it warmed up last night and all the snow kind of melted down, froze in place. Now today it's windy as all get out. You probably can't hear it as badly as what it is because I got the windscreen on the microphone, but it's nasty. We got a lot of drifts and a lot of deep snow, but it's not ideal for snow blowing, I guess is where I'm going with this. But I want to try it because I went to all the trouble to put the blower on. I do have some pretty big drifts though. I don't know if you can see this. So I want to try it. It's not as early as I hoped either. It's about 8:30, but we'll see what happens. First things first, I got to Austin Powers this thing out of here. Well, it moved the snow. I kind of just blew it out there, but it did it. I'm going to adjust my chute a little bit. right, you can see how with those Edgetamers on there, it holds the center of the snowblower up off the concrete. So it's a little bit of a compromise. In order to use the snowblower on the gravel and not have it throw tons and tons of stones, you got to compromise a little bit on the concrete. Now to me, this isn't bad. This is probably enough exposure that we get one sunny day and it'll start to melt off, or you get out here with a shovel and start to shovel this off too. But it took down that drift and eliminated a ton of work, and I didn't have to switch the shoes out. You know, I suppose ideally the best thing would be to have adjustable Edgetamers that you can move up and down from inside the cab. It's getting a little elaborate. I think for what I do, for most applications, this will be fine, because the majority of my pushing is on stones, or my snow blowing is on stones. So I'm gonna run over to my both brothers' houses and my mom and dad's and see if I can clean stuff up over there. Got into the stones right on the last pass. I think Nate missed it, but okay. I started about 9 o'clock, it's noon, so 3 hours, and got everybody done. I'm gonna head home and get some chicken noodle soup or something. Grilled cheese, that sounds good. So, and I started at 9. That means 4 driveways in 3 hours. That's not bad. The snowblower does a good job, and now I'm really, you know, the more you drive on the driveway, the more you'll pack down snow. And that's what I was doing for part of that. When you saw me driving backwards, like instead of turning around and blowing in the opposite direction, I was going backwards so that I could pack the snow down and then run the snowblower across my tracks that I had packed down. And what that'll do is create a base layer, a snow layer on bottom that, if it stays cold, will remain all winter. And it's much easier to clean the snow up off of snow than it is off of the stones, obviously. So for me, that has been working so far. The combination of packing down the snow before you do any snow blowing, plus using the shoes on the snowblower, helps to reduce the amount of stones that you get into with the cutting edge of the snowblower. Now you're always gonna hit a few. You know, where there was ridges in the stones, for example, let's say I had the skid loader out here and I did some turning around and it built a little ridge of stone. That's hard to keep from getting into the snowblower if I didn't roll that down or compact it or smooth it out prior to the snow event. I knew there were some of those ridges in this driveway before I got going, and I found them with the blower. That's just how it is. But just like when your car drips a little bit of oil on the concrete, it looks like a big spot, but it's likely less than a teaspoon of oil. In the grand scheme of things, I doubt that I blew more than a coffee can of stones out into the grass. The only downside is, as you saw, the concrete. It doesn't get down, when you got the shoes on, it doesn't get down to scrape the driveway. So that's kind of the trade-off, I guess. But when you're 85% stone and 15% concrete, you go with the majority, right? All right, so hopefully that clears it up. For those that are interested in the stove situation, I've got some info for you, because right now the stove is out, and well, let's go check it out. So this is what I mean by out, and I kind of did this on purpose this morning. As you might have noticed at the beginning of this video, the actual temperature this morning was -4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I just happened to be up and around last night late. I knew it was getting cold, so I filled the stove up relatively full, but not to full capacity, around midnight. So I put stove in at midnight, and then this morning the fire was still going pretty good, but I wanted to kind of let it go out, even though it is cold. I just wanted to demonstrate. So it's just after 10 a.m. and the stove has burned up all the wood that I put in it at midnight last night. The water temperature has dropped rapidly too. You can see the water temperature is 101 degrees. I have it set for 170. So it has dropped a lot. I kind of let it get away too far. But this is a real world situation that happens quite frequently. So the first test is going to be to see if I can get the fire going again without building a fire, because usually there's enough hot embers in the bottom that I can put in some kindling and get it going. And then secondly, we'll see how long it takes to get it back up to temperature. Oh, and I want to clean the ashes out. So let's do that first, actually. Okay, there's a little bit of ash inside the door right here. More ash than last time, for sure. Actually, Alex from Crown Royal reached out to me and said, you know, a trick is lift the turbulators up in the back, and then you could use the tool from the front to get all the ashes out. So see those turbulators? They move up and down. I'm gonna try to get them to where they're raised up. I'll go run the lever to show you. Okay, I've got all the ashes cleaned out. I'm going to talk about how many we produced over whatever duration of time that was, because I need to figure it out. But right now I'm more worried about getting the stove going. Are there any hot embers in here I can use to get it going rather than build a fire? I haven't had to build a fire yet since I started it on October 19th. Oh, there's some. I haven't done anything in these ashes in the bottom either. You want to kind of leave a nice ash bed in there. All right, let's throw some light wood in there and see if we can get her going. I'll put those right over the hot coals. Oh yeah, that's gonna go, no problem. Some more small stuff in the bottom. So now the fan is sucking from the bottom, and you can see the embers started to glow almost right away. Now with my old conventional boiler, if I'd have let the fire go out this far, there wouldn't have been hardly any embers in the bottom. It would have been very difficult to get it going again with whatever was in the stove. I would have had to build a fire is what I'm trying to say. So I've let it get this way just a couple times in the last 6 weeks that I've been burning it, and I've always been able to make it recover without building a fire. So some of you might be wondering, you know, how cold is the house getting? We had the house set at 69 degrees. It got to 68 degrees. Fortunately, there's no wind today. It's calm and beautiful, so it's easier to retain heat when there's no wind. The wind is our biggest enemy out here. It's actually 11:45. It's almost noon, so we're almost 12 hours from when I last put wood in the stove. All right, that's up and roaring. We'll let it get back up to temperature and check back in. But first of all, let's talk about the amount of wood, the amount of ash, and just my general overall feel. We've been burning the stove, as you watch this, for 7 weeks. So here's what I'll say. I am filling the stove as often as I was before, meaning I would usually fill it twice a day on mild temperature days, and when it got really windy or really cold, I would have to fill it 3 times a day. Usually in the morning before work around 7 a.m. and then sometimes when I would come home for lunch at noon, or when I got home from work around 5, I'd put some wood in it, and then I'd always fill it up at night between 10 and midnight realistically. So I'd get that real long overnight burn and then fill it up in the morning, and it would last throughout most of the day. So I'm filling it just as frequently as my last stove, but I'm putting much less wood in per fill instance. I'm putting about half the amount of wood in realistically. So far, I've burned about half of the first row here, and I've burned what's in the trailer. I would estimate I've burned about a quart of wood, maybe a little more in the first 7 weeks. That's not terrible. Maybe a little bit more than a quart. It's hard to measure for sure. But I know that per fill instance, the firebox is smaller. I normally used a wheelbarrow to fill the old conventional boiler, and this one is going through far less. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm filling it just as often, but I'm putting in much less wood per instance, almost half. All right, let's check on the ashes. The first time I cleaned the ashes out of the stove, I let it go 3 weeks, and I generated this much ash. This is the actual bucket that I used. It got snow on it, but It's not even half full. And then it's burned for nearly another 4 weeks. I've had it going for a total of 7, almost 7 so far as you watch this. And this is how much ash I cleaned out today. So not quite 2 5-gallon buckets. That's 4 weeks of burning, hard burning on cold days. So in the last 4 weeks, the temperature has really dropped. I probably should have cleaned it out one time in between there, but for 4 weeks, that is very little ash. Like, I would have filled the wheelbarrow multiple times by now. 3, 4, maybe 5 times I would have filled the wheelbarrow out of the conventional stove. So again, I'm super impressed with the amount of ash. I'm gonna keep track of all the ash that I accumulate this year, and we'll just try to put a measure on it compared to what it was before. The only thing left to do is check to see how long this takes to get back up to temperature. We're trying to take it from 95 up to 170. Fortunately for you, you don't have to wait as long as I do, because we're gonna be back to tell you how long it was right now. So it has been exactly 3 hours. It's 3 o'clock. Let's look at the temperature. So in that 3 hours, I put wood in it one time to make sure it had enough fuel. And I checked throughout the course of that 3 hours, the temperature in the house dropped down 2 degrees from the set point we had of 69. So, you know, it warmed up to 20 degrees or 25 degrees Fahrenheit today. And if that had happened in the middle of the night and it would have been windy, the house temperature would have dropped a lot more. So got lucky. It was a bit of an experiment to do this for the video, but 3 hours to bring it up 75 degrees in temperature essentially. And I'm tickled with that. My summary of the stove so far is after 7 weeks, it's using far less wood. The fill frequency is essentially the same. So the net outcome is we're going to go through a lot less wood. And that was the goal. For sure. So I'm tickled to death with the stove, and I'm even more tickled that you're here watching. Thanks for clicking on this video. I hope you like getting to see the snowblower in action for our first snow and get this little update on the stove. So thanks again for being here. If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. All right, time to get warmed up. Still on. Okay, we got a little bit of a situation. I was driving the tractor. Thanks, Aaron. Well, that was a lot easier than anything I could have done. Huh? It's all right. All right, mission accomplished. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron's drone rescue.